Welcome to another episode of In the Nude. Today I want to talk about the statement of where you are is where you're meant to be. That was infuriating. There's a lot of things that were infuriating to me. Like, make a decision and things change. That was another one that was really frustrating. Like, how do you just decide, right? Like, I can say it in my head, I decided, but that's like very different than it actually making a difference because there's this like oomph that happens with it. That's pokey. But where you are is where you're meant to be. It's this statement that people say, and it often feels like a slap in the face, or at least it did to me. It felt like, oh, yay, thanks. I really wanted to hear that. But let me break down why people say it by giving you examples of my life in the past. I found myself alone, right? 4 kids, one was a newborn, and I found myself alone. And my life was in crumbles. If someone had told me, where you are is where you're meant to be, I don't think I would have had the gumption to even have a reaction because I was so numb and so depressed. But I think now I know that because of how much I had been abused at that point, I would have never made the choice to free myself from the situation. I was too locked in. I was too closed off. I was too, it wasn't a possibility in my brain that I just kept receiving all of the hurt and all the abuse it took being left for me to be able to have that different future, right? So I had to hit a low, right? You can't, when you're having a great time, right? When you're hanging out with friends, you're laughing and playing or whatever, that's not the time frame you're thinking about iterations. That's not the time frame that you're thinking about having adjustments and changing things in your life. It's when crap hits the fan. It's when things go sideways that you're like, oh, okay, we need to figure something out, right? I sat there, even with my life being as bad and as hurtful as it was, I still was surviving. It still wasn't the rock bottom that I had to personally hit for me to see that something had to change. So I get left, I'm by myself, I'm completely depressed because everything about my life isn't how I thought it was going to be. And I come to this precipice, this moment. This is for anybody in their healing journey, they have these it's either a season or a moment. For me, it was a moment. I sat there and I was just shy of being this completely vacant mother. The one that gets up, I do the daily duties, I give the hug, I help with the thing, but I'm just like a zombie walking. And it was a promise I had made my 7-year-old self that I would never do that. And I was just a breath away from being the one thing I promised my childhood self I would never be if I ever became a mom. And it was in that moment, that realization of how close I was, that was my rock bottom, the bottom of the well, the can't get any worse. And it was that moment for me, getting that far, getting that sad, getting that depressed, surviving, thinking, okay, I'm just not going to unalive myself because I have kids and that would be extremely selfish. And then getting to the place where I realized how close I was to that worst nightmare, that allowed me to make a difference. It allowed me to make a shift. It allowed me to make choices because I had kids to make those choices for, because I couldn't make them for myself. I so didn't like myself. I so didn't care for myself in any kind of way. I couldn't make it for myself, right? I couldn't make the choice to even stay away from that hurtful environment without thinking through, if I remain in this situation, I'm teaching my kids it's acceptable. The type of relationship, friendship, living environment I stay in is the one they will end up thinking is normal and look for themselves. And that idea, that thought process of, would I be okay with this marriage for my kids, was what allowed me to know I can't, no matter how much I want to, do anything different than what I'm doing right now. I have to continue on this way. I have to not go back. Each part of the journey, there was a season of my life directly after that, I was so dysregulated and so grasping at trying to find a way to make an income, because I had been that traditional wife who stayed at home and worked basically not at all. And then all of a sudden I have a mortgage and bills and kids and all of it, and having to figure out, and I went into this season of hustle, grinding until your fingers are nubs hustle, the hustlest of most hustle culture you can think of. I embodied it. I lived in it. And that was a season that I needed at that time. If someone had told me during that time frame that I'd be where I am now in this season of wait the season of rest, the season of, no, you need to be still, I would have literally convulsed, twitched. Like, I was too dysregulated. I was too chaotic. I was too like a vibrating ball of dysregulation is the human, that was what I was, okay? Just like this energy, okay? And I needed that season. I needed the exhaustion of that hustle. At the time, it was exhausting, it was frustrating, it was hitting my head against the wall, it made me feel like I was failing continuously, but all of those steps were personally something I needed to learn the lesson that my worth is not attached to my productivity. My worth is not attached to numbers or schematics or achieving a certain rank or goal or promotion. My worth is not attached to being associated with that person or having that relationship or having that status grab. I had to have all of these things, I had to exhaust myself because I couldn't get to the place where I could rest without it. That season is not something that's aligned with me. It's not something I see as healthy for me now, but I couldn't be where I am now without learning the lessons of failure and tripping because of how I was and who I was and all of that. That season didn't feel like a blessing when it was happening. It felt like exhaustion. It felt like burning the candle at more than one, like in the center, on the ends, on the top, like just shoving wicks into every piece of wax and burning it so it just collectively became a pool of exhaustion. Like that's what it felt like when it was happening. But I couldn't have gotten to where I am now. I am now a year and a half in to having felt very, very specifically called, pushed, whether you say inner divine, you say source, you say God, whatever you want to call it, very clear that I needed to be. I needed to quit trying to do that work. I needed to quit trying to latch onto and arrive. I had to quit trying to write the book that I was trying to write. I had to quit all of it and just exist. If you're anything like me, that was terrifying and the antithesis of anything that I ever felt like I could do. I innately equated a clean house, to-do lists, work, income, you like anything external was the only way I felt worthy, that I felt like I had value, that I was contributing to my life, to society, to my children. That's what it had to be. The first 6 months of me in this rest time frame was awful. Was like an internal battle so deep and so hard. But through it, staying true to what I felt very clearly pushed to do, despite it being the antithesis of what I wanted to do, I've learned how to be. The nuggets of things that I picked up mentally back when I was hustling, listening to TED Talks at first thing in the morning and like trying to do my way and perfect morning my way into the life that I wanted. The things that I picked up and subconsciously knew, I started being able to integrate and metabolize, as I call it, into my body. I started in this wait, in this be, in this breathe. I started to learn how to look in the mirror and without force, without trying to make it so, liking the person, seeing positive in the person in the mirror. I started falling in love with them, and taking care of them was an arduous process. And I'm still in that journey. Like, I still struggle so hard to advocate for what I want that I don't know if you're like this, but I'll have something that I want to say. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be simply something as silly as, could you pass the salt, right? Okay, that's the level of stupid it can be at times. I'll have it in my head, but for whatever reason, my throat, my body doesn't want to contribute to the process of saying it. I know the history in the past of being silenced and all of that and why that is. And the fear of like saying something that might say I need something, causing power play and vulnerability, or causing chaos and, anger. Like, I get it, why I have that. But like, even now, I still battle with speaking up. Would you pass me that? And feeling like my throat is unable to speak. There's a part of me that still is in this like turmoil at times where it defaults into those past. And it's when people say where you are is where you need to be, they're saying it, and sometimes it can be so flippant, it can be so taken so callously. But it's this journey of healing is unfortunately and fortunately not this stepping stones that are the same. I can lay out the stones that I did. And for some person, it might be exactly the same. For another, it might not look anything like it. The things that were beneficial to me might be dysregulating to them. Something that was perfect for them might be dysregulating for me. There's the reason why there's so many voices and so much noise out there is because each person goes through this amazingly personal journey, because what it is you're learning how to relate to you. You're learning how to fall in love with you. You're learning how to be you. You're learning how to decompress and pull off all of these coping mechanisms and all these like functional things that you did to survive but aren't you, and dropping them by the wayside and learning what is. And it's beautiful, and it's painful, and it's frustrating, and it's wonderful, and it's chaotic, and it's simple, and it's so difficult all at the same time. So when they say where you are is where you need to be, it's not them trying to dismiss the pain of where you are. It's not trying to say where you are is easy. It's saying if what you had gained, you need to learn, because it's not a gaining, it's not even like adding to your person, it's something you need to learn about yourself. Like this season of me being still, the thing that I'm learning, metabolizing into my person, is that I am enough. I don't need to do, I don't need to achieve, I don't have to construct or gain productivity. I am, and therefore I'm enough. I'm worthy. And it's me having to unlearn, me having to release these lies that I've accepted as truth, that I'm not valuable if I haven't gotten enough things done today. If I can't prove that I got enough things done, that rest, joy, frivolity, play, that those are productive. Taking the time and literally just following your curiosity. Just walking the aisles of a store and looking at things because it brings you a smile. That is a good thing. That is productive. That is of value. This season is me having to unlearn how hardcore perfectionist type A person I had become as a result of trying to cope with all these things. That's what this season, I'm still in this season of hold, this season of pause, this season of, and I've learned so much, and yet I'm still here because there's things that I haven't fully metabolized, things that I'm going to need for whatever is next. And I don't know what that next is going to be. I have things that I feel like are going to be next. But I don't know for sure in how it's going to look. But I know that if I'm still here, if I'm still in this place of feeling very clearly that I need to wait, that I need to be, that I'm still in the process of metabolizing, take it into myself, and fully embracing the part of me that I need to learn. What was the busy season before? It was me learning how to take baby steps to get regulated, because the things like meditating, that was extremely dysregulating for me. I was so off the charts dysregulated that sitting still was just completely triggering. I went literally directly into fight, flight, fawn, freeze for trying to sit still and breathe. like any stillness. I needed the busy. I needed that time to be able to hear things, but not be able to take them in, because I had to do tiny, slow tasks of really realizing that I was safe. I started doing the silly things by listening to my body, right? And trying to anticipate my body, since my body wasn't communicating to me, because I had for so long disassociated from myself and put away. I would literally, like, it's just the amount of things that I used to do. It's insane how much I just ignored, how much I just pushed away what my preferences were, what my desires were, like any of it. I needed that busy to be able to start to be willing to see how I had been, where I wanted to be, listening to things that people had to say, trying things and figuring out what didn't work, being able to come back to them later. That's what that season was. And I learned enough of that to start being able to integrate grounding practices and breathing techniques. I started getting regulated enough that I was able to kind of hear when my body would be like, you know what, we want to be outside. We want nature sounds. I'm too tired to walk. Can we just stretch? A bath. I want a bath. And like hearing and asking yes or no questions so that I could get this kind of bodily, just like baby level of response, because I had squashed those noises for so long. I needed busy. I needed things to control outside of me because I felt so lack of control within me. And if I had tried to allow all of the chaos without having something to grasp a hold of, I would have just not been able to handle it mentally. I needed that. So where I was, I needed to be to learn it. Where I am, I have learned so much on loving myself. I have learned so much on learning to be present. I have learned so much on those things. And yet I still fight the battle of to-do lists. Still fight the battle of, well, I didn't get that thing done that I really wanted to get done. I need to create a podcast. I need to create content today. The whole point of why I created content in the first place and continue creating content is because I felt alone in all the hard of healing. People talk about where you are is where you need to be. And they'd say these different things like they were cross stitches on a pillow, 5-step plans, 12 ways to, stimulate the vagus nerve. And I just wanted somebody to be real about the fact it sucks. And I didn't see anybody talking about it. I didn't see anybody talking about when you start trying to keep yourself safe, get yourself safe, and you finally get to a place where you are physically outside of yourself safe. Your body starts acting up. And it's because it's finally saying, will you pay attention to me now? So you start getting sick more. And then if you start paying attention to your body more, then all of a sudden your emotions start going all over the place, like it's somebody's just pouring and pouring and pouring these feelings that you just don't know where they're coming from, and it's overwhelming and it's frustrating. And I didn't see people talking about that, or how it feels like it gets worse. And it feels like you're like, I knew how to cope with that. I knew how to handle that because it was busy and it was directive. And now I'm like, what? So I started creating content, but I then started fueling and using content as a thing for my to-do and my grasp of control, instead of it being coming from the heart. And I still struggle off and on with that. This journey isn't about getting to this other location. We want it to be, right? Like there's this tangible thing in my head of what I want to do. And it's as simple as this. I so desperately want people to see how worthy they are. See how wonderful they are, how lovable they are. I want them to see it. And because I know what it was to not be able to see it. I remember feeling all of that, unlovable, unwanted, unworthy, Why would I? That's the energy that I thought I deserved and I received. And I don't ever want anybody to be like that. I don't care what you have done. I don't care what life you've had. I don't care what people have done and how they have treated or how they have not loved you. I don't care, not because it doesn't matter. I don't care because it doesn't indicate your value. I don't care because no matter what it's been, you can be the person who chooses to love you. You can be the person who decides, I don't forget it. Forget what they acted like, forget how they treated me. I'm going to start showing up. I'm going to start showing up for me. Like I'm my own best friend, I'm going to start doing that because you can. I have a passion for this because I know what it was like and I know where it can be. My life is not perfect. Literally by strict definitions, if you wrote down on paper my life 4 years ago to now, it would look basically the same, but I am not the same in it. And I know if I can, with all of what I've experienced and all of who I was and all of what I treated myself and thought about myself can come to now where I can look in the mirror and I can give myself a compliment without even trying to think about it, without trying to force it. That's unfathomable for me 4 years ago. If that's true for me, I know how much more it's true for you. And so I create content and I have this deep-seated passion that I want like the energy of love that I have within me. I want to literally, like if I could pulse it out to the universe, like a tsunami of feelings, that is the level of impact I want to have. And it's not because I feel like I'm important or I need to have those things. It's because I want it to be felt. I want you to see you. I want you to see you. Because I know what it was like to look in the mirror and see all the faults and completely miss all the beauty and all the things that make up the unique amazingness that is you. You're in this season and it sucks. There's a lot of negatives. But our perspective on the season changes the impact of the season. The beginning of my hustle, me constantly striving for value and work, left me angry and frustrated and defeated and feeling unworthy even further. When I started distancing myself from the numbers and just taking the action for what the action was and started showing up and being like, you know what? I cannot control the outcome, so let's stop trying to base my value on an outcome that isn't in my control. What is in my control? I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to show up and I'm going to try to enjoy the process. Even in the hustle, that environment became more enjoyable. And it is through that shift of adjustment and me being able to just like literally be like, no, I'm not going to look at the likes on my content. I'm not going to look at the numbers of follows. I'll engage with comments as long as they are positive, and I'm going to pretend like the bullies don't exist because it doesn't help me, right? And that shift is what allowed me to make the leap to the being stage. And at the beginning of the being stage, I hated it. I was fighting it tooth or nail. I was constantly trying to do my be. Okay, I'm going to be today. So we're going to do meditation and we're going to do a breathing exercise. We're going to do some somatic stretches. We're going to take a nature walk and observe. I literally type aid trying to be. And it was painful and awkward and non-productive and arduous. And then I started being like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to figure out how to get out of this. And I'm going to try to enjoy this. What are the things I can enjoy? I have more time. Because I'm not trying to do, I have more time. Okay? What are things I enjoyed before? Maybe I could try doing those again and maybe I'll enjoy them. So I got into reading. I hadn't read in years, like a decade. And I fell in love with reading again. And then I started making that a to-do list because type A, if you know, you know. And so I took a kind of back pause on that. And then I started exploring what other things I liked. I like being outside. being outside helps me. So I just started spending 20 minutes drinking coffee on my back porch. Not doing anything. Just drinking and observing. Watching the trees dance in the wind. Watching the birds flitter around. Watching, when I forget to mow my grass, a dandelion shoot up and sway in the breeze. I learned how to find joy in the process. Oh, there was, of course, stress. How am I going to pay my bills? How's it going to get covered this month? But it's where we put our focus, right? It's like the stupid car. You've heard this example so many times. You get a car, right? And all of a sudden you see it all over the road. It's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, right? And it knows the car is now important to you. So it now is showing you what it says. Oh, you have this of value. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. The same thing is true with our focus. You're in this season, there's so much that sucks. And the more you focus on what sucks, guess what? The more you see what sucks. The more you see the negative. And you don't want that. So you make a shift. A 1% shift. None of us like having to climb the whole ladder at one point. We are literally just going to touch the ladder. We're not even going to put our feet on it. We're just touching the ladder. That's the level of 1% we're talking here. And you could do like these shifts in a lot of different ways. For me, I did gratitude journaling at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. The beginning of the day was I would write things that they're almost like things I wanted to be true about the day as a statement like they'd already happened. Today is going to be a good day. Today is a good day. I have fun today. I had fun today. I am having fun today. However you want to word it, right? Whatever feels like it could be true for you. In the beginning of the day, I would write like 3 sentences of things that I wanted to be true for the day. And at the end of the day, I would write 10 to 15 things that I liked about the day. And that was arduous and felt silly and stupid, but that simple, stupid practice started helping me shift. When I started finding myself frustrated in the middle of the day and started like, I wouldn't push it aside. I wouldn't be like, you're not allowed to feel that. No, I would sit with it, be like, yeah, no wonder. That was frustrating. It's only fair you're frustrated. And me sitting with myself instead of trying to push it aside like I did when I was hustling helped dissipate the feeling. And then after that, I'd be like, okay, that was frustrating. But before that, before the kids started fighting, them playing together, that was pretty great. Them hearing laughing, it lasted like 2 minutes longer than last time. That was pretty good. I snapped, and that was not fun. I did not like doing that. But I took a deep breath. That's an improvement. I started focusing on the shifts that I was making. I started trying to see and compare myself to past me, because we get so blinded. It's like if you haven't seen a kid in a while, you can see how they've grown, but the parent can't. Or if you have a kid, you don't see them growing all the time, but then you like see a picture of like 2 months ago and you're like, wow, they really have grown. Or your grandparents come around, their grandparents come around. It's that same thing with ourselves. So I'd sit there and be like, okay, how would I have responded to this a year ago? When I catch myself doing something where I took that deep breath, do it, like put on a song you love and dance for a second. Give yourself a piece of chocolate, Pavlovian yourself. Give yourself like, I don't know what it is for you that will help, but like those things, making the shift of where our focus is like that stupid car thing. You want more of something? Make a beeline to it. Make it like you are like locked in on what you want more of. The more that I focused on how I was failing, the more I felt like I was failing. And I couldn't see anything past that. And then I just started failing more and more and more. The more that I started trying to shift and see things I liked about my life, I somehow, despite nothing really externally changing, I started being able to enjoy my life more. It's you are where you need to be, you are where you need to be statement isn't supposed to be this like flippant thing, but it sometimes is thrown out there and it's not explained, it's not parsed out. It isn't because where you are is your ultimate whatever. It's because where you are is this like kernel. In order for you to have so much of what you want and so much of what you deserve and so much of what Source, God, Inner Divine wants to give you, it takes you learning how to realize who you are. You are enough to have all of that. But if you were given what you think you want right now, would you really receive it? Or would you self-sabotage? I don't know about you, but being honest with myself, I would be overwhelmed. I would self-sabotage. I would run away. I would freeze. If I had that level, I'm not there. I want to be, but I'm not. And until I get to that place, I can't receive it. When people talk about manifesting and deciding, all those things, it can't work if you are not at a place where you feel worthy of the things you want. You want a person who shows up and loves you exactly how you are. Are you loving you exactly how you are? Oh, it's a hard pill, man. And it isn't that this place that you're in is supposed to be this prison. Every place that you're going to be is going to have hardships on it. Every last one. Even your ideal, perfect end result, there's negatives there. And if you're focused on your negatives where you are, you're going to be focused on your negatives when you get wherever it is that the next step is, and the step after that, and eventually where you want to go. It's kind of like people, if they have no money, right? Like if you're poor, people think, well, if I had money, then I would fill in the blank. I have found that money is kind of like alcohol. It pulls out from you more of what you are. So if you were a generous person when you were poor, when you're rich, you're generous. If you're a happy person, then alcohol brings out you being more giggly, right? If you're an angry person, it brings out more anger. That over there that we strive so hard for, we're still bringing us with us when we get there. Whatever that end is, it's not going to give you a different feeling, because the feeling you have is based on the truth that you believe about yourself. And you're still the same person right now. If you were given that new environment, you'd still think the same things about yourself. And so this spot you're in is a gift, even if it doesn't feel like it, because it's teaching you something to help you realize you are already enough. I want, like, this deep-seated passion I have to love people and make them see themselves. I feel called to use my voice. I feel called to use the thoughts and feelings and the sheer number of books and therapies I've done to give the wisdoms that I know how to in the most like simplistic terms I know how to. I feel called to speak about it. I am not a person who likes to be in front of people. I'm an introvert. I don't like being the center of attention. Yet I feel very, very clearly that I need to speak about it. Stand up and declare it. But I don't feel adequate yet to do that in the ways in the past and the things that I think that I am called to do. And that inadequacy that I feel inside of me, that not enough, that imposter, I'm taking that with me. No matter what the path is, I am stuck with me. I am filled with me. I have this being, and I take myself with me. So it isn't there that I need to get to. It's here. I need to be with. How can I stand up and help you, help others see their value? See all of these things, they're enough, their beauty, they're all of that. While I still hold myself back. That isn't to mean that you have to be to this place of perfect. but you have to be willing to withstand the tide. I don't need to change to be that person. I just need to realize that I am that person. This process isn't about changing me. It's about me seeing me. This process isn't about changing you. It's about you seeing you. You don't need to adjust who you are. You need to let go of the baggage and the coping mechanisms and the things that you did to people please and the things you did to survive, and pull off the things that aren't you. And then you need to be able to really fully embrace you. The amazingly weird, quirky, fantastic you. The enough that you are. The worthy that you are. The beautiful that you are. The unique, amazing that you are. Right now, where you are, if you make that shift, the shift from everything sucks to pointedly and specifically trying to change your conscious mind to the things that you do like about your life, your subconscious mind will come along and you'll start seeing a shift in how you enjoy your environment right now. And through that, being able to start seeing positives in your right now and being content in your right now, it sounds like an antithesis of what will help you move on, but it is literally being able to be at peace with where you are, that the next step of there opens up. It's the same thing as, it feels like the opposite of security to surrender, right? Control feels like security, but control is anxiety. You know how that feels. You set up stuff and you're trying to make sure everything is exactly the same, and then all of a sudden you're just like feelings inside when things are going slightly different than you thought they were going to. That's control breeds anxiety. But when you let go, you pull your feet up and you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it happen. That gains you peace. That gains you a knowing, a security. My worth doesn't matter. Is not affected by the number of likes. Is not affected by Sally's opinion. It's not affected by getting passed over for the promotion. The more I have found, the more that I invest in when I can and how I can, surrendering to the flow, listening to my soul, not my cravings, not my ego trying to latch onto value for myself that I already have, but my soul. The call to explore something I like or learn something further, to look at something intricately or to really feel something. The more I surrender to the process, the more I pay attention to the fact that the silly things like the sun in the morning coming through the blinds in my room and hitting this wall back here, and really noticing how beautiful that is, the simplicity of that.